issue where if to make sure that the data coming in is as trustless as you need for the protocol itself, or else everything breaks down because of game theory.
But when you say game theory, what do you mean exactly by that? Because that can be a term applied to um, many different things. So in this case, what does the game theory constitute?
Sure. So game theory is like ecosystem equilibrium. It's how easy does the entire system become unbalanced. And if you have a very strong protocol, say you put a lot of effort into the entire ecosystem, but um, the connection to the real world can be gamed, it would throw the entire ecosystem out of balance.
Gotcha. So it's keeping things balanced. I guess that has to do with, um, choke points and centralization. The more decentralized something is, the stronger it would be in theory, with the game theory. Yes
Yeah,
or
I
no?
mean it's more about um, like how much trust is required in a entire overall system, and the weakest point is the weakest point of, I mean, it's the weakest link in the chain type of theory. So if there is actually a way to game just the input, then the entire system's broken, because yeah, the entire system is what needs to be strong for the protocol to be strong.
Okay, got you. Um, Anybody else want to comment on oracles or bring a little info from the earlier call into this, or should we move on to another topic?
I mean, I think oracles are actually extremely interesting and extremely important. The question is like, what type of oracles are needed today, um, and yeah, that's really the main thing. And I'm actually of the opinion that um, oracles are important, but the main question is that the most important thing? And I believe the most important thing is actually building a good DeFi foundation, and then eventually oracles will come into the space and be needed more. But building a strong foundation is something that's um, is very critical right now with the Algorand ecosystem.
Yeah, and if the oracles come in, but there's no data to feed, or no locations, no DeFi to feed the data to, it wouldn't really have much of a purpose, would they?
I mean, you would have to talk to the individual application creators, but I can say that there is zero applications that Reach or any project that Reach is working on that an Oracle is the blocker.
A question, Chris. This is Michael Pirovano here. Chris is my boss, so I better not screw this up. Uh, what is the difference between an Oracle and an API?
I mean, I mean, so an Oracle is a way to actually say connecting to the real world, or to connecting to another medium. So an API, I like they're two completely different things. Like an Oracle could be an API, I guess, but it's really they're just different things.
Okay, I'm not a developer, kind of for context.
So could a company just create their own data on ramp, um, to the chain, and then they wouldn't really need an oracle to get everything, would they?
1000%. There's a lot of companies need to actually bring data from the outside, but they don't need a third party system to do it. They could build it themselves, and ideally what they could do then is once they actually build that system, they could create an entire ecosystem around it and share it with other people if they wanted to. I mean, that's one of the things that the dexes are going to bring, is that they will provide data feeds for the individual tokens and the cost of them. So that's that. I mean, you could kind of think of that as an oracle, but you don't really call them an oracle because they have kind of a purpose.
Hey, sorry to interrupt. We have Eclectic with us here. Can you connect and say hi?
Eclectic Mingos. We got a few of them in the chat, but yeah, it would be cool to hear from the artist or who's running the project if you want to come in, for sure. So there was some news yesterday about a gambling game coming to Algo. Just kind of want to see what everyone thinks about that, and are you a fan? Are you against it? Yeah, what does everyone think about this new kind of like gambling dice roll game coming to Algo? Is it a good look or not?
I think it's amazing look because I personally have to drive to the next state to gamble. So it'd be nice to do it from my home and maybe with a more trustworthy thing than there are currently on the internet. There's some of these gambling sites that are not sure if I could trust them or not online, but one that's on something that, especially if it's open source and we all can just kind of look at it, I'd say that'd be pretty cool.
I mean, it's not the first gambling thing to come to Algorand. I mean, it's not even the second. There's been quite a few, actually.
Yeah, I did gamble on Algorand before, for sure.
There's a lot that blockchain technology in general has to offer to that world of gambling, especially with people who are trying to stop. And because people don't think about this when they're building these gambling apps and things like that, but there's a whole system out there in place to try to stop people who are addicted and who can't stop to sort of self-exclude. And crypto and blockchain is actually with authentication functionality is a pretty interesting way to go about that.
That's a very interesting way of thinking about it as well, too.
Is the Algofam project still in effect? They were one of the early projects, kind of dabbling into some of this gambling type stuff, peer to peer. But I haven't heard much from them lately. And the woman who was kind of heading that up.
Exactly. Yeah, that's where I was gambling before.
Yeah, that was the first instance that I had.
Yeah, she's still working on the background, I think, but I haven't heard from them since maybe 5 months or something.
Yeah, and I mean, yldy is gambling too. I mean, it's lossless gambling, but you're still staking with the chance for reward.
Yeah, you're essentially gambling your interest away,
Exactly.
In a sense.
I mean, it's more than just a sense, but I mean, it's literally if you did nothing, you would make money. But what you're doing is you're wagering the interest to potentially win a bigger amount. I mean, it's gambling, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. It's safer gambling, but gambling nevertheless.
So I have a question to any developers in here. When it comes to the auditing process of blockchain code, are there only a few entities which can audit that code? And how in depth do they go? I've in the past few months done a lot of research into non-blockchain companies, just like normal stock companies, but a lot of the time the audit is really surface level and they don't actually check. And it's really easy sometimes, not every time, but sometimes to, bribe the auditor or just get them to look the other way. Is this a problem in the blockchain industry? And how in-depth and serious are the audits?
Well, for the most part, an audit only will check if the smart contract code does what the company claims it does. Now, there's always a level of deceit. I'm sure if you heard about the kids token, that was like that whole influencer scam. They had an audit. It was posted, but they changed the code, minutes before it went live on PancakeSwap to, disable the anti-whale code that they supposedly put on there. As far as most audits go, depending on who audits it as well too. I mean, even some reputable companies have audited some scammy projects, but like I said, they're only checking to make sure that the code does what they originally state. Nothing says that they can't change the code, before a DEX launch or something like that.
Yeah, that's a great question and a very good point. I mean, do you want me to call you WGMI or what should I call you? By the way,
You call me Cody.
Okay, Cody. So the issue with audits is like currently in the blockchain space in general is that it's just pros. It's somebody saying, "I'm really smart. Look at how smart I am. I've looked at the things that they've asked me to look at, and I approve, but I do not guarantee this." That is what audits are today. It's another set of eyes looking at it, and you can actually even get. I mean, the other thing is too is that you can actually go with a reputable source and pay them less money to do a less audit and still get an audit. This is one of the things that Reach fixes, of course, or helps with at least, is that it turns audits into more of a objective thing, where because in Reach itself you have the ability to drop in assertions or custom assertions into the code itself. That if and when an auditor looks at it, they will say, okay, it looks like you missed this, so we dropped in this assertion in here and we ran it and it worked, or we ran it and it didn't work. The good news is like every single time you recompile or change the code, that assertion will always be there. But it makes audits more objective. I mean, developers themselves still have the ability to forget things or not ask for things. But yeah, one of our goals is actually to make audits for one of our main goals is to make it so that we'll make audits less necessary. Not saying that we'll remove the need for them altogether, but also make the actual audits themselves objective rather than subjective.
Do people know how SMT solvers work?
Can you say that again?
Does everyone here know how SMT solvers work or what those are?
No, I can't say I do.
Nobody here knows what that is, Michael. So what Michael's bringing up is how we actually do the auditing. So we do a thing called formal verification, where we just don't Reach doesn't create tests. What it does is it turns the entire application into a math problem and creates a formal proof that the code will do what you expect in every potential reality. The way to kind of describe this is that if you remember back in geometry where you're given a formula, and rather than just plug in numbers into the formula to see what happens, you wrote out a long proof to prove that the formula was actually correct. And that's what formal verification is, but it's just the art of turning your entire application into a algorithm.
So my question now is, if the auditing process, it seems the bar is kind of low, does this present a risk for non-savvy people trying to enter DeFi, or a predatory company creating a pump and dump like the kids token, where basically if you don't know about it, these influencers banded together to create this so-called charity token. They gave all of them a big allocation, and then 5 minutes before they launched the code, like Code was saying, they changed this protocol where you could only sell a certain small percentage in a certain amount of time. I think it was like 5% to 24 hours. And they changed that 24 hours to 5 minutes or something. So you could basically...
1 minute.
Huh?
It was 1 minute.
1 minute. So you could dump everything immediately. And, you know, I feel like maybe there should be some type of decentralized auditing process where a bunch of different developers can get, incentivized through some type of token distribution to look at others' code and check if it works. Is that a possibility? I mean, it's far-fetched, but
it's already happening on Algorand.
Yeah, I mean, so there's actually a company that is building this way. The main problem here is that I think you extremely overestimate the potential number of people that can truly audit. There's so much demand for auditing that the auditors right now are making tons of money, even the ones that aren't that good. The better solution is my opinion, is the automated solution where, like with Reach, we have the ability to build in the tools to make code safe. Also, what we do is that we verify that the front end is actually working with the exact contract that you expect to, and it won't work with a contract that does not, that it was not. So one of the things that you can do is you can the auditors could post the hash of the contract that they audited, and you could compare that with the contract that you're communicating with, and there's no way that a developer would be able to swap that out with you with a contract that wasn't audited.
And when in doubt, just DAO it.
I mean, also you should really kind of make sure that you're not risking the house. I mean, we are still super early. Please, everybody, don't go wild. A lot of these contracts that you're interacting with are either not audited, or they're potentially have issues in it. So don't put your life savings out there. Don't risk your livelihood for a potential gain.
You're definitely right. I'm wondering if there could be a system where, so like you said, the auditors are few and far between, and that kind of creates a centralized choke point, and a point of weakness. So what if there was a system in which the other developers who build blockchain applications can check someone else's code and get rewarded for that in a decentralized way? So anyone can technically be an auditor for a certain section of the code. Maybe you couldn't see the whole thing, but you could see a bit of it and check it. I don't know. Is that possible, or would that work, or is that just impossible?
I think that would probably be possible in some future world where there's millions of developers in the world. That's just not even close to what the case is today. We're working hard to get to that point, but the truth is that developers are such on high demand that they are the ones that are actually building. Okay, the ones that are building are focusing on their own focused on their own applications and aren't really interested in potentially making money on somebody else's.
Yeah, that's a good point.
From what I've heard, a lot of these reputable auditing firms, I mean, there's months-long waiting lists, which is just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that as well.
To change the topic, can we talk about the China cryptocurrency thing for a few minutes? I feel like it's really interesting.
Yeah, they banned Bitcoin for the 100th time.
Right.
Well, yes, and a lot of crypto Twitter is kind of chalking this off as just another, China FUD, and it kind of is. But at the same time, it's a big thing where they're not allowing any type of transaction on any cryptocurrency. It's not just Bitcoin anymore, and they didn't just ban Bitcoin mining. They're basically trying to outlaw the movement of any crypto. I mean, if you have some already, you can keep it. But Huobi yesterday, didn't they shut down their exchange?
I didn't see that if they did. Weren't they trying to come out with the digital yuan?
I mean, they'll unveil it at the next Olympics.
Right. So they just don't want any other cryptocurrency except for theirs. So they just want to control it all, right?
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see how they could really stop DEXs and stuff like that. But it'd be interesting.
Well, the Chinese government has a very strong grip on the internet. You need a VPN to use anything there. I mean, it's still very possible, but it just, I feel like this presents an opportunity for the United States to be the counter argument to the anti-crypto stance. But whether they will or not, the United States government moves very slowly. It could be years before they even take a concrete stance.
Well, it was similar to, like, when the internet was like, how we're going to decide to monetize it back in the day before, like, the Neutrality Act was put in order. What's the right discussions and, the right eyes and the right use cases come into play, things will change, and probably faster than you think.
I mean, I don't see why it's the U.S. and not like El Salvador right now. I mean, they're far out ahead with this, adopting like Bitcoin as their legal tender.
So if I can just read a CoinDesk article real quick, just to give some people context about the Huobi thing. Huobi, which is one of the largest exchanges in China, Huobi to gradually expel its China users in wake of ban. So basically everyone who uses Huobi will have to be off it by the end of the year. As one of the biggest exchanges in the world, you have to say that it's quite shocking that so many people are being left out of this equation.
Yeah.
Is this just we can move on if it's not interesting?
Well, I do have one point I would say about this. I've only seen a couple I would say pro crypto American politicians, and I feel like we're kind of in an obvious generational gap here. And I think that the next crop, I don't know if it'll be the next term or the term after, that will come forward. What are we really asking for our politicians when it comes to representing the crypto community? That's the real question I have, because we're kind of decentralized.
Well, people.
Well, I mean, Gary's been pretty vocal about it, and he's just trying to find he's trying to find a way to mix the two together, to make the two work.
Imagine lobbying for crypto. I mean, you have to communicate it, which is hard enough to experienced developers, but to politicians who barely use email, like it's a whole new world.
Like I said, it was similar to, like, when the internet became in play. Because I mean, back then you try to get a politician to look at a computer, and they used to think it was like something the size of a room, much less something you could actually have in your own home.
Maybe starting with the frame of reference of governance, because I mean we use that a lot. Like that might be a nice way to sort of segue into their understanding of it.
I think it would probably be best if you were a politician, to approach the blockchain industry from a blockchain focused standpoint, not talking about the world's hardest money type of thing about it. I think that's a lot less appealing to put on a political platform. But if you talk about ledgers, record keeping, decentralization, security, it's a lot easier to sell to a large group of people than Bitcoin is the best. And a lot of people will look at that and say, well, I was there, I get the big holding that I would want. It's unappealing to a lot of people. But if you talk about like fixing the voting system with the blockchain, so we don't have voter fraud anymore, that's a lot more appealing.
I was going to say, no issue is more bipartisan right now than tamper-proof voting.
Hey, what's up, guys? Can anyone hear me?
I hear you, bud.
Yep.
Hey, what's up? How's it going?
Good, man.
Yeah, I actually, this is the first time that I check in on one of these spaces. Pretty cool. Anyways, I just wanted to share, like, I think this whole situation with the real ban in China, and then the issues, or the issues that we're having in the US, where there's like all of this confusion and can't really tell where this the chairman is, where he really is sitting. But I think from our standpoint, from an Algorand investor standpoint, it's we're in a really good position. I mean, this is somewhat obvious, but I think between the MIT connection, connections in life are really everything, on every level. and especially in government. So I think, as Algorand investors, in a way, we can like shake in our boots a little bit less compared to a lot of other projects. This is, in my opinion, I think that the big advantage of Algorand being younger, we have the disadvantage is that, Ethereum has, and Cardano, they have like a much broader support base because they've been around longer and they've pumped more. So people have made more money on them and people love cryptos that make them money. But our advantage with Algorand is that, because we're so new, the team was able to, create it based on more recent needs. And I think from a regulation standpoint too, it was, probably built in a smarter way or with more awareness. Even the whole the fact that the Algorand blockchain is, Sharia law, like whatever it is, I don't really have a lot of knowledge of that, but I did read it somewhere, that it abides by, the requirements, and that's pretty cool too. I haven't heard that about other blockchains, so that's definitely an advantage for us in the long run. I feel confident.
I would agree with that. I think Algorand's
Yeah.
like an institutional blockchain, and that's one of its primary purposes. So maintaining compliance and acceptance and making sure that it's appealing to a lot of different types of institutions. And that means being, culturally accepted as well, across the board as much as possible, I think does bode well. I was just reminded too, somebody online is like, hey, China outlawed, Google, right? And Google's still in business. So it's not like, it's not like an absolute necessity to have, a centralized exchange in China.
Yeah, it seems like like a lot of the early crypto adopters was really China, like people that got into crypto way, way early, Bitcoin and crypto in general. So I guess, like even looking at the percentages, it makes sense. Like anytime there's, FUD coming from China or actual regulation, like it's affecting less and less because just, as more people, crypto investors in China get out, there's less people to sell. And so eventually it'll become like a non-issue because once everyone's sold, it's just like the painful part is now like the transition. But basically over the span of whatever, 13, 14 years, like China went from being, the country that invested the most in crypto to the least. So I guess again, in the long run, I think it's great. It's great news. It was something that bothered me since day one, with like the Bitcoin mining, like it just wasn't, didn't sit right with me. But in general, like I think it can only be for the better.
And there's something called ISO 20022, which can anyone explain what that is to us?
Not sure what that is, man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I will need to do some research and I'll probably make a video about it then. But I just know it's some type of compliance regulation that only a few blockchains are validated through. But I don't want to speak too much on it if no one can comment on it.
It's literally just an XML spec. It's an interoperability specification. That's it. It really has nothing to do with crypto.
What do you mean? You said mail spec?
It's an XML. It's an XML specification. It's basically just like a standards body defining an interoperability specification for exchange of, the financial like ownership data, things like that. It's like a 200-page spec. There's a book on it, but there's nothing about it that's really specific to crypto. So like there's a narrative that people are creating. I don't know, maybe just to pump their bags, but there's nothing about the spec that really has anything to do with one crypto or another.
Oh, okay, so it's a bit of it's a bit of a hype
Well,
generation.
yeah, I mean, it's just like this
like
bizarre.
point.
There's, oh my God, what is it? It's like the quantum financial network, which you'll hear occasionally pop up from the Q people. It's basically, I mean, you'll hear the algo is palladium thing occasionally, and a bunch of us are like, what do you mean algo is palladium? or, and that came from that. So I don't know. I think there's people kind of pumping that a bit, either whether it be the 2022 like spec or the algo palladium angle. I guess if it brings some people to Algorand, okay, but there's nothing there in a sense. It's just an interoperability spec, and Algorand as well as anything could be used for the actual transmission of like a digital asset or USDC or whatever. But then this XML spec is just kind of built as what would be there around it to provide context for the institutions on each side of the transaction, if that makes any sense. I mean, it'd be like, banks saying, hey, we're going to send documents as PDFs, right? The specification is basically just saying these are all the different fields. This is all the sort of data that we will exchange that defines how we will exchange the data. And then the fact that the USDC or something might be sent via Algorand would just be one aspect of that.
Did Patrick cut out for?
I don't think so. I stopped talking, but it's just talking about
he lost connection.
Yeah, I'm actually having some major technical difficulties today too. So if I cut out, apologize.
Yeah, me too. So if I say anything stupid,
I don't know if that's technical difficulties, my friend.
pretty sure it's technical difficulty.
hey,
Yeah, it's operating.
Real quick, like I couldn't say anything earlier because I was like, it turns out if you're on a computer, Twitter doesn't actually let you speak. You have to use a phone. But
Yeah, I'm not sure why it does that.
yeah, it's kind of pointless. But as far as like Chainlink, you actually have to spend link to use it for many things. Like if just to get a random number costs 2 link. So you're looking at $50 plus gas to get a random number.
Damn.
Yeah.
I actually wanted to ask about that, like within like the Algorand ecosystem, what creates like this, what creates the value within the tokenomics? Like if I have a side chain and I want to create, let's say for example, what is it, yldy token or opulus, are they pooling something from the main chain to create a side chain? Do they have to like take a certain amount, or they
Well,
can just like?
they're not necessarily a side chain. They're just a smart contract application built on top of the Algorand chain.
So do they have to have like a one-to-one parity for each token they have? How does that work? That's what I'm trying to understand.
They can make whatever economics or supply they want.
So what creates the value of like the Algorand token, like the utility? Like what creates the value like
Well,
in that?
you need Algorand to access or use these applications if you want. So naturally, you'll have to have Algo to naturally pay for the fees or naturally verify the contracts as well too.
I can speak to that some too if you guys want.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, just like on Ethereum, ERC20s, like the most of the coins people own a lot of times are just ERC20s. They're smart contracts in Ethereum. So you still have to have ETH for all its ridiculous gas fees for every single thing you do with those contract operations. Algorand, in a sense, is similar. It's both the utility and staking token for the chain. So in order to use anything in the Algorand mainnet, you'd need to hold Algo. And all assets being created also force additional kind of aggregate storage requirements and compute requirements. So that's why you have minimum balances for every ASA. So if you have, if you hold 9 ASAs and count Algo as well, you have to have at least one algo as a minimum balance in your account. So the creation of ASAs indirectly also forces algo holding per account. Then if you start talking about actual co-chains, which are you can have as a completely private network right now, but it's not formally a co-chain. And then there's interesting things there about how algo will be used on transfers. But generically, the value of algo is the requirement to hold algo to use the network. And then there's the kind of still, theoretical sort of issue of it's a proof of stake chain. And so users, investors, people interested in security of the chain have a vested value in the algo token representing the aggregate value of all assets held and transacted on chain. So if it was possible to buy up 80+% of all algo, you would want the cost of that to not be cheap, right? Like if you can send 10 billion in USDC for 0.001 algo, then you want the value of algo to reflect what you have circulating and what can be transacted. Because if you can buy up all of the algo for, let's say, $1 billion, but you have 100 trillion on chain, then there's something wrong there. So it's the same thing when you talk about chains with they're really, really cheap to 51% attack, like ETH Classic, BSV, things like that you could just rent some cloud resources for a few $1,000s an hour and attack the chain. So that's the cost of algo needs to be commensurate with the value on chain, but that's still kind of unproven for proof of stake chains.
And another way to add on to that, way to think about the value and what algo is this is a crude way to explain it, but algo is a commodity. So think of algo as think of it as another commodity like oil. Now, oil is the commodity that fuels the network of roads and highways, and the algo token is what fuels the network. So you need it that's why people call Ethereum gas, because you need it to kind of, move things and interact with it as well too.
So my vision is kind of like this. Let's say in 5 years, if the network grows exponentially, those gas fees are so low, that's one of the things that will roll people in. People are kind of value locked into other chains currently. And as the network grows, we'll get more people on chain. There'll be more value and the value of the token will grow. And one thing tacking onto governance is that, we're going to vote on, if we want to raise or lower the gas fee and if that's going to be redistributed. And I think that's going to be part of it in the future. Like maybe algo holders will be incentivized because we'll get like the gas fees instead of, the regular payouts now.
The gas fees go to an escrow account, don't they? And
Yes.
over
it's just sitting
over the course of governance, I assume that will become a topic of voting
vote.
upon what to do with that.
Yeah.
Which will be a really interesting time. I can't wait till, who knows where the Algorand ecosystem will be at that time, because things move really fast in crypto, and that's probably about, in 2030 when the distribution ends. So, that's totally like we have no idea what's
Well, I guess
really
we're
going to be on algo at that time. You said we're going to find out?
Yeah, about 2030. We can move that up, I guess. That's part of the vote.
Yes, that is true. We could move it up technically.
Yeah. Right now, all fees go to a hard-coded fee sync account that is defined in Genesis, and then in the actual source code itself, the fee sync can only be spent to the participation account, which then like every 500,000 blocks, that's what determines the reward participation rate payout. But it's not, there's no automated mechanism to pour from the fee sync into the reward pool. So at some point in time, they'll actually have to make a code change so that there's an automated mechanism for the fees to either just auto pour into the reward pool, or basically the fee sink in a sense goes away and then the fees just go directly to the rewards.
What if we voted? I mean, it's totally theoretical, but what if the community voted to burn the tokens? Would that work,
No,
or
I
is
think
that kind of go against?
it's a capped coin. I mean, like I think that would be a really bad idea. I mean, to a certain extent, like Bitcoin, they're not too far off from what, maybe 10, 11 years, for about three more halvenings for basically the fees having to pay the miners for everything. So at the same time, as we go to 2030 and we reach all algo being out, the only mechanism for any kind of reward at all becomes the fees.
I think Patrick got disconnected. Patrick, are you here?
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah. I've been speaking. Did you not hear me?
Yeah, I've been here. I hear you perfectly fine.
Yeah. Is anyone
I think there's just
here?
I think there's just I think there's just problems in was it like the space. So like sometimes people get muted, like he is right now.
I just wasn't talking.
I hear you all right, Patrick.
All right, cool. But yeah, I mean, the feasting stuff gets interesting. Like, and there's people, I don't know, there's just a weird narrative about burning that I think a lot of people, in some cases, just don't understand the tokenomics of a lot of different chains.
I think it's just a hype mechanism when you burn tokens.
Totally.
That's about it.
Because I mean, like, let's put it this way, like Avalanche would make a big deal about their fees being burned, but it's kind of irrelevant because it's kind of a hand wave technical issue of how they handle it. Basically, it's the validation, the validators, the state validators or delegate validators receive rewards, and as like you could basically say, I want a stake for a week or a month or 3 months or a year or whatever, and then as a part of receiving rewards, it's technically minting new AVAX as a part of the reward. So like creating brand new AVAX. Well, it can never exceed the 720 million yet. So the fees are burned, but it's always replaced by minting new things for rewards. So it's kind of interesting that they can have a slightly different rate. And so, you could burn really, really, really fast, and then that would just mean that the rewards would go higher. But it would still be kind of like a slope to get back to the 720. So, but it's still kind of a hand wave to say it's burned as if it's somehow truly deflationary, because you still inflate back to your cap with the rewards. Or other chains that have really crazy high inflation to then say, oh, like Ethereum is completely uncapped and has pretty large inflation. So then the whole thing of, we're burning fees is kind of a shell game, to be honest.
Yeah, it's just a hype mechanism. It's like when, you remember when Aave burned 75% of their tokens, but everyone's own supply got burnt by 75% as well too. But it was just a hype mechanism because the token rose so much in price, everyone just started buying it.
And another thing about the burn mechanism with, for example, let's take Ethereum. Doesn't it incentivize people to not actually use the token for what it's supposed to be used for on the chain, and instead they're just going to hold it, try to wait for the pumponomics to burn and make their price go up, and then just sell?
That's a point. Yeah, that's a point I wanted to add as well, because I feel like we're going to have a perpetual growing exponential ecosystem, which is going to keep expanding. And if we have these type of tokenomics in place where we incentivize usage over holding or burning, etc., we're going to get, say, X amount of fees from usage down the line once we totally distribute the 10 billion. And I think that's where the value will be created on chain. It makes more sense to me than these other. That's why I never bought NFTs on any other chain. My first time buying an NFT was on Algorand, so it made more sense to me.
So, what other projects is everyone excited about that's about to come out?
I like this artist, Algo House, with Dragon Ball Z. I think Cody, you've seen it, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I love him because Dragon Ball Z is something very nostalgic. Like me and my brother used to run off the bus just to catch the episode, so we wouldn't miss it on Cartoon Network. Like I love his stuff, and especially like the one he did with Kelly, and he showed the one in the chat the other day. Like I'm excited.
Yeah, with Silvio. Have you seen the one with Silvio too?
Yeah, it's Silvio, he's Master Roshi. Like that's hilarious.
It looks pretty good. I must say, I was intrigued to see that, and especially the Kelly piece. That's Kelly on Teal, Teal, which is kind of an interesting play on words. So that one seems to be kind of picking up some steam, I guess, or just attention. And it's listed now for I don't know how much, but if it actually sold for that much, it would be ridiculous. But I think that it's captured a lot of attention. And he's not like super prolific. Like it's very like there's only a few of these out there. So even though the images have made their rounds around quite a bit, very few folks actually own some of those NFTs, right?
Yeah, and he's just getting started. And when I found him, I told him like, this is gonna be big. I think he's going through the whole ecosystem. Now he's working on yldy and other projects. That would be awesome, like the ALGO bots we have.
That Seb version was fire. It was pretty good.
It was super on point. It looked just like him.
So is anyone here coming to the Decipher event in Miami?
Yeah, let's go back to some education, like about technicals, like some.
Actually, I might be going to Miami for that. I've been thinking about it.
I've been thinking about it too. I'm trying to like figure out the logistics of it and try to make it happen.
Yeah,
I'll be there.
Plane tickets bought.
Yeah, I'll be there in the entire. I invited.
Yeah, and I think the U.S. has opened to travelers, right?
Yes.
Can Bilal not hear me?
Yeah.
Is that what's
So
going
I'm
on?
gonna check for my tickets right now.
I think there's a problem with the space, Chris.
Yeah, and people coming from out of country into the U.S., I would definitely check the current travel posts. You'll probably require a test. I think a few days prior, and proof of that.
Well, Chris and I will be there. The whole Reach team, I believe, is going to be there. But Chris Swenner, our CEO, who's on the call right now, and then Jay McCarthy, our CTO, will be both speaking. And I believe, and Chris, speak up if you're having technical difficulties. He will be juggling chainsaws at the event. We haven't confirmed. I haven't checked that with him, but I can go ahead and promise for him right now.
That sounds like a great idea.
Yeah.
Who let him? Who let him in the space? Can someone let me know that?
I'll be live streaming that.
Nice.
Yeah. So
that would be awesome.
We'll probably actually also have some bigger announcements, I would say, around then as well. So hopefully.
Who do we have here? Feel free, my friends, to ask like any question, to throw any subject. Like, we have Zach. How are you, Zach? How are you, my friend? Feel free to say hi.
I'm gonna disconnect and reconnect to see if Bilal can actually hear me then. So.
Yeah, I think Bilal's flying
best.
blind right now, I think.
Yeah, I don't think he can hear any of us. Can you hear me, Bilal?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, but yeah.
All right. You can't hear Chris, can you?
Sometimes it stops. Maybe I have some problems here. Actually.
Hello.
Hey, how are you doing?
Yeah, great. Enjoying the Sunday.
I'm trying to get down to Miami with my team, but it's hard to convince them.
I might just go out there with my girl, man. Make a little vacation out of it.
Bilal, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you, Chris.
Oh, amazing.
We
You
couldn't
kept
hear you
talking over
before.
me.
Oh, really? Sorry.
That's all right. But now we're good. Can everybody else hear me at least?
Yes,
All right,
sir.
But yes, Bilal, what I was saying is I will be there, and I invited the entire Reach team to be there as well. So that'll be cool. And then we're probably most likely going to be making some pretty big announcements around the time as well. So should be fire.
Wow. Awesome. I will be there actually. I was just checking about the rights for travelers to the US, but now it's open since last week. So yeah, I'm coming for sure. I will be glad to see
Yeah,
an older team.
yeah. You'll probably just have to get a COVID test like before and after you leave. But Florida's pretty lax if you fly straight there.
Yeah, I will do that. Yeah.
Are you in Turkey, Bilal?
No, I'm in France, Paris.
Very nice.
It comes up actually pretty often. People think I'm Turkish because in Turkey there are many Bilal, but yeah, I'm not Turkish at all, and I receive like hundreds of messages in Turkish I can't understand.
We have a growing community in Turkey right now, and I always see your name in the Algorand group, and I'm never sure if you're part of that.
But yeah, Florida should be a lot of fun. I'm excited. Gonna be probably a lot of news.
Yeah, and I think it'll be amazing to get a lot of people together we've all interacted online, and we can finally meet in person. I think what will come out of that conference is a lot of opportunity. A lot of people will be able to meet the person that they needed to meet to help with their project or to learn some info. And I mean, I commend the Algorand team for, going
Can anyone hear me?
all out.
Is it working?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you.
So everybody was
Can
just
you hear
silent
Algo?
for 1 minute, or was it me disconnected?
Yeah, somebody was talking.
Yep, you got disconnected, B.
Yeah, somebody was talking.
I'm literally walking through Times Square, so sorry if it's a bit loud. But I think it'll just be really exciting, and Miami's a great place to do it, and it's a great space that they got. So we should definitely. Bilal had this idea, but we should definitely, on the day before the conference starts, have one of these calls, but in person. I mean, that would be freaking cool.
Yeah, I plan.
Yeah, we could definitely do like a live stream.
I plan on doing like a at least probably maybe 3 or 4 hours of just open open office hours. So if anybody wants to come talk to me one on one, they can. So we can figure out how to build cool things.
One thing that really kind of gets me excited about the ecosystem is that you have people from Borderless or VCs or project leads that they pop into these spaces on Twitter or they're on social media with like 100 followers, and these are people like Arul from Borderless, and it's just it's cool that even though these professionals have a lot of influence in their space, in their sphere, they're still so relatable and like able to just come down and meet us in a conference or just on the street. Like when I met Alex from AlgoDex, and the AlgoFi guys, they live in Brooklyn. I was with them the other week, so they'll be there as well. One of the DeFi platforms that's coming to Algo lending platform later in the year.
Yeah, their testnet was really clean. I'm excited about them.
I'm excited about that project too.
What was the name of it?
AlgoFi. They were originally Algo Bank and changed it to AlgoFi. If that helps.
Yeah, I saw them.
Yeah, actually, I can make a bit of an announcement. So I took a part-time position with them recently, like, in the past week or two. I'm going to be their community manager. So I'll be in the Telegram and Discord for them, answering questions. And it's pretty exciting to just join in on a team. And yeah, I mean, it's not going to change the content I put out for Algo HQ. That was very important for me when we were talking, and I decided to work with them. So nobody has to worry about me being like a shill for Algofam now. Those are two separate things, but definitely a pretty exciting project. Basically like Compound, but upgraded with Algorand tech.
And it's a smart team too. John's a really, really, really smart dude, and they're really have a lot of traditional finance experience. The testnet was working really smooth as well. They didn't really have too many bugs.
Yeah, definitely. Patrick, if I could ask, what's the latest with Transaction Lab? If you want to jump in to be a speaker, if you want to maybe share something about what you're working on, if you can, or just how's everything been with that?
John, I think John warned me that you guys have been asking all the time. Yeah.
What'd you expect?
Yeah, I mean, my last day, because I've been, I don't talk about it because it's like it's basically public, and you got to watch like what you say publicly with working for corporate big corporations and stuff. But yeah, my last day at Salesforce is this coming Friday, and then be full-time Transaction Lab. So that's cool. We've got a pretty awesome team, but as far as what we're working on, we're kind of keeping it on the DL, and hope to have a kind of a nice little stealth launch that will help the product, I think.
Well, congratulations.
Come Decipher, we'll see. We'll see where things are at Decipher. Maybe something will happen there.
You keep trying to get people to tell me what you guys are working on, but nobody will. So I keep guessing to see what the response is. I don't think I've guessed it yet.
Well, it's easy to have a poker face on Twitter Spaces.
I'm guessing it has to be around NFT. That's my belief. It's got to be around NFT.
I can neither confirm nor deny it has anything to do with anything.
Chris, what's the latest with the NFT auction house project?
I mean, Nick is working really hard on it. The latest, it looked like, let me actually pull it up here. He has a channel in the Reach Discord if you want to follow along. He makes frequent updates to say where he is. He's made actually a bunch of changes recently that he hasn't rolled out to testnet yet, but it looks like it's going to be a really big push when he's ready.
I have a question. What do you guys see in terms of governance coming to Algorand? Like, as a DAO, we've been struggling with like using Gnosis and stuff. Like, we've actually kind of like stopped using it because it's just been ridiculously expensive to do stuff. Like, we're building our own SDK. We're not even using Snapshot for voting anymore. We're just building a whole backend to the website, just that connects to XDeFi. But is there any governance that is coming to Algorand for like DAOs, whether they're social or investment? Like, is anything like that happening or in the works?
Yeah. So
go ahead, Chris.
All right. So yeah, there's a few DAOs that are actually in process of being built. I can speak purely from us. We've recently submitted a proposal to the foundation to build out a full open source DAO attached to a treasury that will accept for proposals and everything of that sort. We'll see if they expect it or they accept it.
Yeah, that's like that'd be great. Like, something like that's really important. I feel like, especially for the non-regular VCs and like actual users of Algorand and the protocols. for us, it's been really difficult. We've been like building everything ourselves, like the DAO has, just to like make things easier in terms of governing ourselves and like being able to do transactions or letting us use the treasury's liquidity in different ecosystems. It's actually been really tough. It's been much harder than I anticipated. I thought there'd be more tools available.
Well, we have also like Chris McCluskey in the chat is developing Anthill DAO right now, and then
yeah. Oh, yeah,
is he
yeah.
in here?
Chris is here.
I've heard from you
Oh, there
for a
he
while.
is. Hey, there he is.
What's going on,
Chris?
Come
I
up and
invited him to
speak.
speak.
I don't. Oh, yeah. Chris is a really good. I've chatted with Chris a couple times. He's a great dude, but I don't see him in here.
I see him. I see you there, Chris. If you're still listening.
He might be lurking.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I do know the kind of the vision that he has for Anthill DAO, and that's something that's fantastic. I think more of those kind of projects we'd love to see,
And then
and get involved.
We also have Algo Pulse as well too.
Yeah, but so one of the key things.
Oh yeah, that's true. The Aussies, we are also good friends with them.
So whatever we actually release, if the proposal is accepted, it will be completely open sourced and be a generic DAO that anybody will be able to take and modify for their own needs.
Nice. Especially for the ecosystem, I think it's really important for projects to be able to utilize, I guess, especially if we want to go decentralize ourselves.
Can we get Chris McCluskey to comment, or Chris, are you feeling social today? You though.
I think he's just lurking.
Well, I do believe in the power of the DAO, especially on a blockchain which doesn't cost so much to do things. I mean, Bilal, you were considering making Fame a DAO. Can you maybe share an idea or two about how you plan to do that? If you can hear us.
Can you hear me, Bilal?
Oh yeah, I can hear you now. I think I got some troubles again. Like I couldn't hear some of you, but yeah, and I've been having trouble adding people to speak. So yeah, now it's fine. Thank you.
Yeah, I've been having an issue too. Every few minutes, like the chat would cut out and it go silent for like a couple seconds and then come back.
Yeah, same here.
That's because you're either reconnecting or connecting. I've noticed. Like if you're like reconnecting to like when I connect in and off my Wi-Fi, it does that.
Has anyone used GatherTown? I feel like we're getting our own Gather for the DAO. For our DAO, we're getting our own Gather. It's been, I've seen it a couple of times and been involved. Like actually, really big fans of it.
I haven't heard anything about that.
No one's used it.
No, I haven't used it.
I can send you I'll post a link later on this chat, but it's really, really cool. It's basically office spaces, digital office spaces, and you walk around and talk to people in different rooms, like in real life. Like it's like you're moving around in real life, moving your little character. It's pretty cool.
So is it like VR or like augmented reality?
No, it's none of that. It's just like a 2D. It kind of looks like a game. It's called GatherTown, and so it just really looks like, imagine like a house, like a design, and you're like walking around, and it has different rooms. That means like there's different people chilling in different rooms. And I saw a couple. It was at this Kusama event that I first discovered it, and then I was a huge fan. So we have that available now for our members. It's like always on, and they can like hang out with other people in different rooms.
Oh, so it's kind of like The Sims.
Kind of like what?
I'm having some pretty major technical difficulties, so I'm going to bow out now, guys. I'll talk to you guys next week, or if
All
anybody
right.
needs me, you know where to get me.
All right. Later, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay, talk to you soon, Chris. Bye.
All right, Chris.
But no, I said it was like kind of like The Sims, like The Sims video game, like where you can just like have like your own avatar
Oh
and
yeah,
walk
yeah,
around.
yeah. Just like that. Exactly.
Where-
Yep,
where-
exactly. Just like
where do you
that.
do
So
What app is
it's
that?
called Gather Town. Gather Town. We've been starting to use that, and then we've been building basically the back end to our website for members to be able to log in using their Ethereum wallets. Well, now we're XDeFi wallets, so basically anything that XDeFi supports, you can use that to log in into the back end to the DAO. So it's pretty cool.
So what's your vision to apply the DAO to? What would you like your DAO to?
Yeah, I'm checking it right now, like Gather Town, and it looks cool. I'm opening up an account there.
Yeah, so our DAO's already functioning. We've been basically together for about
You drop out for anybody else?
Yeah, I didn't hear anything for a second.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
cut out too.
So what's the cost for Gather on average monthly?
I'm checking out the GatherTown website right now. It looks like up to 25 concurrent users is free right now. If you want like some kind of tailored privacy list, I think it's like $2 per user, up to 500 concurrent users.
I got a question, and it's kind of like off topic completely. It's a little bit directed toward Algo HQ, and it would have been towards Chris as well. What do you guys see as the opportunity for employment in the Algorand space, not being a developer, not having any computer coding experience like that? Like I'm a 28 biomedical graduate, my bachelor's in biomed, but I recently fell in love with how the algo community is and everything. But I'm not a developer. I'm not like a big coder, graphics designer or anything. And I saw that Algo HQ mentioned like a community manager and stuff like that. That's what I've been currently doing, just involved with Twitter and Discords and stuff like that. But I just wanted to get some feedback on what you guys see as employment opportunities in the Algorand space kind of thing.
Shoot, I could speak to that as well. Yeah. Ibu, I know you just took that position, but I got to tell you, like, just creating videos and being active in the community, like, job opportunities are thrown at me like on a pretty regular basis. Now, I happen to have a full-time like day gig. I'm just online so often people just think I do Crypto Nerd full-time. but I'm not a developer. I'm just a sales dude. And I just love the ecosystem, and I love getting involved and talking about NFTs. And anytime Chris talks about tech stuff, though, like you notice, I start lurking in the background because it all goes over my head. But I just love the customer facing, the retail aspects of it, and some of the B2B, like the business stuff. But if you want to be involved in the community, like shoot, like you just keep doing it, like act as if for a little while, and then make it known that that's what you want to do. And I'm pretty sure opportunities will rise up, even if it's just paid in like ASAs or something like that initially, until some of these projects take off. But it seems to me like there's going to be plenty of opportunity.
There'll be plenty of opportunity as long as you stay active in the community and don't just work on like one. If you want to be like, let's say, more of a like an ambassador or influencer or marketing person, you need to be more active on just like Twitter. Telegram's a huge community for crypto, like massive.
Yep, 100%, insane. Telegram and Discord too. I'm not on Discord as much as I should be. My main platforms are Twitter and Telegram.
I would say, to answer your question, just follow your gut, follow your passion. Like the way I got into the crypto, and also like remember your strengths and recognize your strengths, and also recognize where you aren't the strongest. You know, I got into the crypto space honestly with zero experience, like over a year ago, and then I just totally fell deep into it because I loved learning. And you know, then eventually I started Algo HQ earlier this year purely for fun. And so, you know, it's not like I got into it wanting to get a position or anything. I really just followed my heart. And I know that sounds a bit corny, but it's true. Like, you just follow what you want to do. If you're in biomed, like, there's definitely a lot of things you can do with that. You know, recognize what you like to do and what you're drawn to the most. Just do it. And then, because the Algorand community is quite small and quite intimate, you know, everyone pretty much knows each other in some interconnected way. Like, things will just start to happen if you just show up and you start to have a voice and you start to have like a perspective and offer something that isn't being offered like right now. You know, Monty does his type of videos, I do mine, and they're different. So like, we can both exist, and we can both have different roles that we take. And I feel like because it's so new and fresh, there's a lot of space that can be filled. And I don't know if anybody's thought of mixing the medical industry with blockchain. I mean, certain people have thought about it, but maybe not an Algorand yet. So maybe think about some way you can bring your expertise into the Algorand space. Like, you know, what I do in my day-to-day, I'm a performer, I'm a singer, I'm an actor. And that like allowed me and gave me the personality and the confidence and the, like, I can get on a video and do that stuff. Like, not everyone can do that. So you know, you got to recognize what you like and what you're strong at and just like go toward that and follow your gut. That's what I would say.
Appreciate
You know,
the feedback.
job I took, like, yeah, the job I took, it's just part-time right now. It's not even a full-time gig. It's just like a little bit. But you know, I also believe that like the crypto industry has just insane tailwinds behind it right now.
I can't hear
So,
anyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you,
I
Bilal.
can hear you. Yeah.
Can you
Yeah.
hear what I was
I
saying?
couldn't hear anyone for like 1 minute or two.
Yeah. But we could hear you. I think
Yeah,
like
we could hear you, Bilal. We were having a whole conversation, and no disrespect, everything was great.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Ebo's crushing it. He's about to be like head PR for Algofy in like a year and just doesn't realize it yet. But like that group is just gonna like take off.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations, Ibu.
I guess. Thank you. And I think just the thing is, like,
I think I cannot hear Ibu. That's the problem.
All right. Well, can I finish what I was saying?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hang tight for a second. Ibu's talking.
So, I just want to cap it off by saying, yeah, just if you're interested in it, like, as you can see, there's so much funding that is like dedicated to Algorand now that if you just like show passion and interest and you just stick at it, like, you will get something. Like, you'll be able to find your way into something. Like, the space is begging for people to jump in and support it. You know, like, the blockchain will be nothing if people aren't like helping it in these early formative stages. Everyone in this chat is doing something, and like, if you want to get more involved, I feel like everyone will be like, yes, please welcome you in with no questions asked. Like, people just want to. And also, if you come from a different background of like expertise, it's even more valuable because you don't need to be a developer. Like, a blockchain isn't only about coding. There's a lot of things that it can be applied to, and we need people from various backgrounds to apply their perspective to this decentralized network.
Yeah, I could just add on to that. Basically, I've been, looking around, picking up NFTs. I see somebody with the Algorilla. I see the Algobots. I see a bunch of guys, the Rocketeer. I bought a bunch of these lately. I was just interested in Algorand generally for the last like year. You know, we all knew about Bitcoin in 2017, 2014. I knew about it when it was $200, but I never really a startup company where we help them get funding or marketing, etc. And it's like we're all like very interested in Algorand, so like we're all keeping an eye on the space. But it's like I don't have a technical like degree. I don't know how to code or anything like that. But you know, marketing or finding startups, funding, we can do that. You don't have to have that technical skill to get involved.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's sorry. A company is not just built off of the developers, right? Like everyone has different strengths. If you're a genius developer, you might be a terrible communicator. You might be like, and you might need someone to manage, like, the guys at Algofam. Sorry for the noise in the background. The guys at Algofam, they're busy coding. They don't have time to be answering people's questions in the Telegram and Discord. And they delegate, and there's so many roles that can be filled, like in different aspects that aren't just coding and building, like that kind of back end stuff. There's like a lot of different ways that you can apply, and I'm sure, like, if you got a degree or two, you're gonna have enough knowledge to offer a lot. Definitely. So reach out to Chris or anybody, maybe Jeff, it looks like, and see if they have something that they can offer you, or reach out to Algorand themselves. They're pretty easily accessible. Or just look into projects that you like and just try to join in.
I definitely will do that. Thank you.
Yeah, and like a lot of the time it's, you can, I would say, like, keep the expectations like in check, because you may not go in getting like a 6-figure salary. Like everyone kind of expects that if you get a job in crypto, you immediately get a 6-figure salary, and like sometimes you do, but a lot of the time you don't. But you can easily, like, you get in on something on the ground floor and it'll have unlimited upward potential. And that, to me, that's more exciting than getting like a big job at a big company. I would rather get it on something like that's tiny but could grow than a juggernaut behemoth company that like has nowhere to go.
Yeah, doing something you're happy about versus doing something for a lot of money that you're miserable with.
Yeah, I mean, Chris was saying this earlier. Just keep everything in perspective. We're very early. The whole entire crypto space is 1 trillion market cap. Apple by itself is 1 trillion.
2 trillion, I believe.
Apologies.
But it's definitely a great point. Like if for the next decade the government is probably going to be focused on, reining in big tech and trying to get Facebook and Google and Apple and these companies like less powerful, it kind of will give, in my opinion, a huge runway for DeFi and like the shaking up of the financial industry through blockchain, similar to how the internet got shaken up by social media and tech companies and software companies, between like 2005 and now. So that will kind of like that revolutionary like dynamism, I think, is shifting into the financial sector, because it needs the most change. Like the financial sector is one of the most, entrenched sectors, and I think the healthcare sector is also one of those that needs like a huge upgrade. And I think blockchain could be, really, really good for that. I think there's like an idea of keeping medical records on chain or keeping scientific medical research on chain and open, so anyone can
Colombia
access
is actually using ALGO for their vaccine cards for the COVID.
Exactly, and that's literally like just scratching the top of the iceberg, like literally not even going 1 millimeter deep. I think like there's so much potential, and yeah, like I feel like the industry is begging for people to join in. I don't think you should have much trouble getting something if you just like follow the passion. And like, because everyone who gets into it, basically, if you're investing, that's one thing, you're trying to make gains. But if you start to like get deeper into it, most people are doing it for the passion right now, because there's no guarantee of where anything's going to be in the future. We might have regulations, we might have XYZ, you never know. So it's kind of just, because the crypto industry is so young, everyone's just, YOLOing it, basically.
Again, shout out. I appreciate all the love. I gotta leave the chat, do family stuff, but thank you again.
No problem, buddy.
Yep. I think what he was mentioning is one of the most exciting things to me about the blockchain space, is that everyone who's in it has this intention to shake things up. Like if you get into the blockchain space right now, you like that, you like the change, you like that that concept of pushing things to their next level. But then that also comes with a lot of like high risk and uncertainty. That's why a lot of people in the crypto industry are like risk tolerant people. You know, we put our investments
Hey,
into
I
high
hope
risk
I'm not
things.
interrupting anybody.
I can hear you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can hear me?
You just can't.
Okay.
You just can't hear Ibu.
I can.
Yeah, I think I missed the last 5 or 10 minutes because I couldn't hear anyone.
That's just because
Something's going
Ibu's
on. I
just
don't know why.
talking. You
Sorry?
just
I
can't.
think
You just can't hear Ibu. Like he's the only one who's been talking for a minute.
Yeah, that's weird. I don't know what to do with that. Like I couldn't hear you. I hear Ibu. Yeah.
you're just mad at Ebu.
We need a decentralized
No, I'm not. Hey,
sorry
Ibu.
server
Sorry,
Ibu,
we
can
did
you
it
say
again.
something?
We need decentralized spaces.
He was talking again. You just can't do
Decentralized spaces, he said.
Wow. Yeah, that's weird. I really can't hear Ibu. I don't know why. That's weird.
They did that to me one time.
But also, like,
Yeah, somebody said, it was 2 trillion for Apple, it's 2 trillion market cap, and yeah, accentuates the point, I guess, if you want to put it like that. If gold is 10 trillion and Algorand is, a couple $1 billion, I feel like if Algorand is going to be building the rails and the base for, Web 3.0, and it's going to eat most of the market share if it's the most efficient, I mean, we're all in a good position just being in this chat.
Well, to be honest, Algorand has the potential to hit a way higher market cap than that due to the fact that it's a commodity and not a security similar to Apple. The market caps to commodities get crazy high. So we should think more like oil.
Let's get involved with some ISDA action.
I keep lowballing it.
So ISDA, you say?
Yeah, I mean that's really going to blow the roof off, right? Get involved in some derivatives. Boom.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly.
Then everything is just your money is making money. One algo turns into 10 just because of the way it's split and diced and reused, and that's really what greases the wheels. It's gonna. I mean, it doesn't literally make 10 algos, but it feels like it because of the way it's being used so quickly.
That reminds me that did y'all see there's a derivatives exchange building on Algorand? I think it's called FXDX.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Now that is very exciting, right? Because if you think about the derivatives market, that's, I think, what, trillions of dollars. So if even like 0.5% of that market were to come onto the Algorand chain and like be locked in, I mean, that itself is already hundreds of billions of dollars like worth of value. So I feel like
If you
definitely.
talk about how the inefficiencies with some of these derivatives exchange and stuff and what they have to go through, like the money's near the hundreds of trillions of dollars. It's insane.
Yeah, totally. And then, so, I think we all are probably lowballing the potential of crypto and like Algorand, yes, but then just crypto in general, because like if you take the world's GDP, which is like $1 quadrillion, an insurmountable and inconceivable amount of money that honestly no one can actually visualize. Like it's impossible to think about how much that actually is. We might think that we understand $1 quadrillion, but like we don't. So if you take just 1% of that and bring it onto blockchains.
I spoke to FXDX. It's very interesting. Yeah, it's insane the amount of money it could bring on chain.
Yeah, wait, sorry, I was muted for like 2 minutes while I was talking. Did anyone hear anything I said in the past minute?
No.
Well, so basically I was just saying, the GDP, the global wealth in the world is quadrillions, and that's more money than anyone can actually imagine. Like it's impossible to visualize that amount and like how many people that influences. $1 trillion probably is the wealth of 10 million people, 10 million families. If let's say they all have an average of $100,000, which is maybe even a high ball. So then you take $100 trillion in derivatives and multiple trillions in real estate, and you just take 0.5% of each of those industries as a low ball, and say, okay, this is going to come onto blockchains. It's already hundreds of billions of dollars, and the crypto industry probably has way more growth in it than a lot of people expect. You know, I made a video about this, but you take like if every bank says, yeah, we're going to put 1% into Bitcoin, that's like over $1 trillion. You know, so that will therefore like immediately double the market cap of Bitcoin. Not like it's not going to happen one day, but it's easy to think about. You know, like crypto is actually very low key still, and very like underused.
If we're talking about like these financial intermediaries, I probably butchered the word. Intermediaries. I think.
Intermediaries?
Yes, yes. If we just captured 2% of that market, just 2%, Algo would be around $27 a token or coin. I mean.
Yeah, I know. And then you don't even you start to think about like real estate and all these other. Okay, this siren is just too much. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Living in the city, man. Living in the city.
Yeah, New York's a little too big for my taste personally, but I can see the appeal living there.
Brooklyn itself is kind of becoming a DeFi spot in a way. Uniswap is out of Brooklyn. Now we have Algofy. And there's a few other companies that build DeFi out of Brooklyn. You know, it's kind of like, it gives me the vibes of if downtown Manhattan is like the financial district, then you go to Brooklyn, and then it's like the scrappy kids making DeFi, and it's just kind of funny how things like develop.
Watch.
Maybe the DeFi will. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, watch Brooklyn become like the fintech of like Silicon Valley.
Yeah, I mean, you know, maybe the Brooklyn DeFiers will make their way onto and take over the Wall Street buildings in 20 years. You know, we never know how things could go. Changing subjects, Opulus launched their token this week. You know, and does anyone know when they're going to launch the product?
I'm not exactly sure, to be honest, but I have been slow buying it.
Yeah, has anyone else gotten in on the sale? You know, gotten a bit of opul? I know I did.
Yeah, I've been slow buying it because when I saw it shut to $3, I was like, oof.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to talk about trading too
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
Because, you know, I think it gets a little repetitive, but I would just say if anyone's interested in it, I would recommend either dollar cost averaging in or just setting bids in like a stack down to, you know, zero. So then, and with enough money that you feel like you can afford, because yeah, it could be pretty big, but you know, these token launches, they always go pretty slow. yldy, when it first dropped, had a similar huge pump. Took about what, 3-4 weeks to start moving again.
It took two weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, just going on a little downtrend for now. Nothing huge. I am excited. I'm pretty sure when the yldy and opul might move again when the staking platform goes live on yldy.
Yeah. So do you know when that could happen? What's the latest with yldy?
I have as far as just the NFT lotteries, that's all I've heard right now. I know the we should be expecting staking soon because I mean they'll release it on Twitter when you know they don't like to oversell or hype it until they actually get like, you know, something working and ready for us.
I want to ask, like, I can exchange, for example, Algo for ETH, but I can't change Algo for Opal or
Well,
yldy, which is weird to me.
well, you will soon when Tiny Man launches. We just don't personally have a DEX or decentralized exchange on Algo yet.
Got it.
And Tiny Man should be coming soon.
They said mainnet was supposed to launch this month. They said that in a Twitter post one day.
Yeah, I mean, this month is a relative term in crypto, as we all know.
Yeah.
But I think it should be definitely out by
Sometime in
mid-October.
October. Yeah.
Yeah. And that hits in the perfect time for governance, all these tokens that'll be locked up. And, if you're in this space, you might know the details of governance, but the way it is that you don't lock them up and you can't get them out. You just have to keep them in the pool for 3 months at a time to receive the awards. But I think just the scarcity of algo will go up. And it'll be really exciting to start yield farming or staking. But I have a question. So can you take an allocation of algo and put it into the governance, but then also put it in a yield farm, or is it just one or the other?
So, how are you referring to that? Like,
let's say I have 1,000 algo, and I put that in a wallet, and I'm going to stake it in the governance. Can I also use those algos and put them in a liquidity pool, or is it just they have to stay in my wallet?
They would have to stay. They would have to stay in your wallet. I'm not sure. Someone would have to make a wrapped algo for something like that to work. You know what I'm saying? Where you could maybe use the wrapped algo or something like that, but they'd split the rewards at the end. They would keep half for you using it or something. Maybe something like that will come out later. But currently, right now, you would have to leave that algo in the contract, or you'd lose your rewards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think everyone is setting up separate wallets.
I was gonna say I asked Chris about that last week if we could double dip somehow, and he laughed at me.
He said, "We're gonna hire that guy." But that's why I'm only gonna put personally half my algo into the governance, so I can have some liquid for liquidity pools, or yldy staking will still be going. The yldy staking for algo will still go on until January, until the passive staking stops.
I forget who it was, but somebody put out a report this week that talked about a lot of the consolidation in wallets and how there appeared to be a lot more whales, algo whales. And my hypothesis was that, that maybe this is people consolidating their wallets ahead of governance. But I don't know. I forget who that was. Did anybody else see that report?
No, I did not.
I think it's
I think I just saw it quickly.
Who's the board guy? I'm too bored, or I'm as bored as you are, or something. You guys know who I'm talking about? He did a couple really deep dive videos.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, he's active in my yldy chat room.
Yeah. Yeah, he put out a report that talked about the number of whales and the consolidation that's going on, and he was taking a poll, and I was like, well, I mean, as I put together my plan, and it's down to the wire for me to figure out how many. We've talked about this. What's your allocation plan? And I've decided, okay, I'm going to do a third for governance, a third I'm going to leave on yldy, and I'm going to leave a third out for miscellaneous trading or NFTs or other projects that come in that I may want to purchase. That's my plan. But I've got 6 different wallets right now, so I'm going to consolidate some to to separate these thirds out. So maybe some of that's going on in the community. I don't know.
Definitely agree, and I just want to add on to that, saying it's so exciting that in the next 2 or 3 months, the amount of options to use the algos on will literally go through the roof. I mean, we're going to have multiple platforms, multiple loan, Folks Finance, AlgoFi, Tiny Man, AlgoDex, Governance, yldy, NFTs, and probably 15 more projects that I'm not even mentioning right now. So I think the incentive to get algos and use them and put them to work is going to be huge, because again, it doesn't take too much. It doesn't cost anything basically to use them. So you don't have to be scared to use them and like super selective on where you allocate them like you would on Ethereum. You can be like, sure, I want to put 100 into this and 100 into that and 100 into this, and the amount of like TVL will just go through the roof. And I mean, I don't believe TVL is everything, but it's definitely an important factor to determine, is the commodity of algo being put to work, and is it being used for DeFi?
And I also imagine as more of these projects come and more people actually try these products on Algo, the more people that will come to us as well too. It's just that there's not much besides yldy to really use on Algo right now, so not really much yield farming capabilities. But like you said, when more comes in here and then people see the speed and the cost, I think it's going to draw a lot of people and get a lot of attention.
Is there a fair amount of us that have invested in Lofty? One of their various projects. I think I got 18 houses or something now.
I'm waiting for a housing market crash to happen, sir.
Yeah. Well, I was wondering that this last one that they put up didn't sell out nearly as fast. It took about a week, I think, or so to sell out. And I was curious if the community thought, well, the way Lofty works is you got to put fiat in. You can't actually invest with Algo. Your investment is reflected as basically an NFT that's an ASA that sits on in your wallet. But you got to invest with Algo. And I'm wondering, like, did they tap into the core of the Algorand fans already, who were familiar with that product and that project because a bunch of us tweet about it or put it in videos and what have you, and they've collected 2.5 million from us already collectively. If now we are generally tapped out and unless crypto goes and skyrockets and we cash out and invest more, is Lofty going to have to help bring in new investors or help bring in new people to Algorand? Because I don't think they've had to do that yet.
I don't know. It goes back to governance being so close. It might have a partial something to do with that at least.
Yeah, maybe people are hoarding their algos and kind of that crypto wealth. Could be. Yeah, there's only so much fiat to go around right now, right? And all these cool projects going in. I see a common theme now is like, man, I'm out of fiat. I don't want to dilute my other positions too much.
I've been eating ramen noodles and Spam for the past month just to buy more crypto.
I bought every dip.
Such a crypto mindset. Oh, I'm out of usable money. I'm only crypto now. Tell that to 99% of people in the world. They'll be like, what the hell are you doing? Tell it to someone in this chat. They're like, oh, you're a genius.
Yeah, he's like a circus performer on a high wire act. He's bouncing, having 10,000 in whatever crypto and zero in his bank account. He's just like, how much do I have to put back in my bank again? Like $1, whatever, just to cover.
Who is this?
One of my buddies.
I mean, yeah, that's very relatable. I have to say that is very relatable.
I've been using my Coinbase account, the debit card is associated with that as the stopgap. Right.
I'm not gonna lie. I wish they'd let me have direct deposits. I would just bank on Coinbase, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, there's a company called Wire that's going to enable direct debit card to Algorand deposits and withdrawals.
Is that SendWire?
Yeah, it's Wire with a Y.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm talking to them Monday.
Yeah, I mean, that's really exciting. I think that's kind of been a bit overlooked. I think that news is because it's also, you can integrate their systems into a different DApp. So that development is kind of, I think, being overlooked and could have huge benefits for everybody to make it easier to get value on chain. I mean, that's when I'm trying to explain blockchain or crypto to somebody and I'm saying, oh yeah, all you got to do to get this NFT is, and then I launch into a 10-minute explanation. And by the second minute, they're like, what the hell are you talking about? So it just has to get easier for the majority of people, because the fact is people want simplicity, and not everyone's into the multi-step process.
Yeah, that's something like even I said on AB2 Gallery, like I don't know if they were talking about atomic swaps on Rand Gallery, but like I have to click 6 times to buy an NFT on AB Gallery. I don't know if that's for everybody, but like on Rand Gallery, it's one click. You know, it's like that kind of UI ease of use, like that type of thing will keep people out of the space, or at least
It's like
you know
that kind of
for the short term.
Well, we've been going for about 2 hours. Does anyone want to close us out with one last topic?
No, I'm good.
Well, I mean, it's been a great chat. And there's a lot of stuff on Algorand coming up, and I guess the last thing I would want to say is that the governance starts in what, a week, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
October 1st.
Yeah. So by this time next week, that should be started, and we'll see, what impact that has on the ecosystem, the price. It's going to be really interesting to see. I can't wait for that. So, if no one has anything they want to talk about, then I thank everyone for coming out.
It's been a good event.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, if you're new to Algorand, follow everybody that you think is interesting in this room. I'm pretty sure most people know a good amount about Algorand, but check out all the different projects, check out different NFTs, and like the guy from before was saying, or we were talking to him, if you want to get more involved in the space, just do it. Nothing's stopping you, and everyone will welcome you with open arms. So, with that being said, it's been a great Algofam chat, and see you all next Sunday.